Hey guys, this is Toffee. Just a quick update for you. We are waiting for Illinois to load in. They're having a little trouble getting their players together and online, I guess, computer stuff. So as soon as they're here, we will get this show on the road in Illinois versus Rutgers University. Stick around and enjoy the music. This is the music of Fever Fever.
Radiant's ban.
Good evening and welcome back to the Collegiate Star League. My name is Toffees, as always, bringing the action here every Tuesday and Thursday night. Joined by my co-caster, Gorgon the Wonder Cow, or just the Wonder Cow, depending on how you refer to him these days. You can find us at Toffees TV and at the Wonder Cow, respectively. And if you want to follow all the action happening in the Collegiate Star League, check us out at C Star League over on Twitter. How you doing today, Gorgon?
I'm doing just fine now that we're getting the game underway here. I was
a bit of the delay, little bit of a delay.
Having a little bit of a time trying to fill the delay. I didn't even know what to do with myself after the first 20 minutes, but now we've got a stand in Valhalla for UIUC coming out here on the Radiant side, and we're already pretty far into the draft.
Far into the draft. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is University of Illinois. They don't have their tag up versus Rutgers University. They are using a stand-in. But before we talk about this particular game, we do want to give a big shout-out to our sponsors, Twitch. A big thanks to them for sponsoring the CSL and featuring our matches weekly. We are proud to be affiliated with the largest gaming stream provider in the world, and Asus Republic of Gamers. They are the presenting sponsor of CSL this year. Asus makes some of the world's best gaming PCs, laptops, and monitors, and is funding this season's travel to DreamHack and our prize pool for the entire year. Be sure to follow their social media at Asus_ROG, and thank them for sponsoring the CSL. Guys, so the moral of that entire message is we're going to be at DreamHack. DreamHack Austin did not have plans to feature Dota originally, and the guys from CSL wanted to change that and worked with DreamHack to bring CSL Grand Final to DreamHack. So we're going to be at the event, and the top 4 teams from this tournament, Gorgon, get a all-expenses-paid trip to the first DreamHack ever in North America, where they get to compete on the big stage. So to me, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, everything's bigger in Texas, especially the opportunities here at Star League. I'm spacing out. That half an hour is killing me. I spent 3 hours casting with Llama Down Under earlier today too, and I was just totally off my game. So expect a really rough and tumble night, Toffees.
Absolutely. Well, I can respect that. Take your time. Work with the Llama. Those of you who watched the intro video, I apologize for it. So let's talk about a little bit what we're seeing in the draft, and we can talk some more about Gyrocopter when he had,
you mean like last March?
Yeah, last March when it was like Juggernaut was a key to victory, especially at this MMR level. Why don't we see as much Juggernaut, or am I completely off my rocker and he's making a comeback?
He is making a comeback.
Oh, okay.
He's actually on a huge spike right now. So starting the patch, he came in with a pick ban rate that was like 40-ish%, right? Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, that's spiked up to almost 80% pick ban rate, almost entirely in bans. In fact, it's like in Pro Dota.
Do you know why that is?
He just has been able to provide a lot of pushing potential, and pushing strategies have been very viable right now. In addition, its physical damage and negative armor is still a big playing factor into what teams are trying to do. And he just kind of plays around a lot of the popular picks of the meta. In addition, a lot of the carries that have been popular up until now, not just carries, cores in general, that have been popular up until now through 685 have kind of been falling off in efficacy, and I think people are just experimenting with additional sorts of heroes to fill those roles. Gyrocopter, one of the few that has not fallen off at all.
Makes sense. So now when you see the Juggernaut build, when he was popular before, you didn't see Battle Fury sort of his roll up. Due to the new push meta, are you seeing that built on him a lot, or is it still the good old-fashioned put a lot into stats and just build yourself to obliterate someone one-on-one?
So you're not seeing very often the stats-oriented ability build, which you used to see, but you are seeing things like Sanj and Yasha come out pretty frequently, which give you just more team fighting potential in the mid-game. Sometimes you'll see Battle Fury. Battle Fury is still built on the majority of pub matchmaking juggernauts.
Right.
So, but at very high levels of play, you don't see it nearly as often. In this particular draft, I think it's too early for us to call whether or not the Battle Fury seems like it'll make sense. But it does look like Rutgers is looking to do a lot of pick and push style play. And I would expect that Juggernaut to want to be able to get active earlier just to deal with the Spirit Breaker and the Gyrocopter, make sure that they're not giving up a lot of space.
Sorry, Twitch chat's saying that they want to see me in Star Action Slacks box. I don't understand why.
I want to see that, yeah.
But I'm in. All right,
That'd be awesome. You guys, you seem like you'd be in the same weight class.
We would be.
It doesn't seem like it'd be an unfair fight.
I think I'd be pretty close. He's appallingly tall. Way taller than I expected. When I went to Summit, it was like me, him, and Gods were just towering.
Okay, so you put me on your back, and then you'll be the same height as him.
And then we can take him on. All right, so Spirit Breaker and Apparition picked up. Apparition, obviously, very popular right now. To a certain extent in the last patch as well. A great answer to these heroes that have healing ability like Witch Doctor. So we see that pick up. Spirit Breaker going to add a lot of global potential to Rutgers University. And it looks like, as you brought up, Illinois is doubling down on working the push between the Juggernaut and the Lone Druid. Rutgers is going to have a hard time keeping up with it.
Yeah, I don't really like the Bounty Hunter in this draft. It provides them a bit of vision. It will give them a bit of gold catch-up if they are unable to knock down towers, but I'd really prefer to see somebody that actually contributes to a tower fight. A tower fight is really the one place a Bounty Hunter doesn't want to be.
Right.
He wants to be at every type of fight except one around your opponent's tower, just because he's obviously very squishy. He doesn't have a lot of innate HP. You get the
It does feel a little bit like the Bounty Hunter and the Juggernaut are backup picks to a certain extent. When you look at the records, Rutgers right now is 7-1. The only game that they've dropped the entire season is to University of Connecticut, which you and I have both covered and know that they are powerhouses right now in terms of the collegiate Dota scene. The Illini are 5-4, so they're at a very different point in their current season, and it feels a little bit like maybe they're worried that Rutgers is going to do what they do so often, which is get out ahead in front at the start of the game, and that Bounty and that Battle Fury Juggernaut would give them a chance to sort of get themselves back into the game should that happen, while Lone Druid works the split push. Do you think that Bounty Hunter can provide that, or do you think that with this lineup, the Illini have to get an early start and hold on to it?
I think that there are other heroes that can provide that also contribute to pushing, and the Bounty Hunter doesn't, right? Or at least contribute to lane clear. So there are some heroes that do a pretty good job of bouncing back, and I guess they did ban out the Death Prophet. She does an okay-ish job there. Anybody who can go into the jungle does a pretty good job. So Crystal Maiden does an okay job of making sure that can happen. Now, as a support, what the Bounty Hunter does provide is he provides allowing your carries to bounce back too.
Right.
But I would honestly just rather see a team plan on executing a stronger support duo and working really hard to not let the carries slip behind, rather than get a weaker support duo, knowing that their carries will probably fall behind because of it. But they have a comeback strategy to deal with the fact that they can't push with the efficacy that they really need to be with the Lone Druid Juggernaut.
Makes sense. So we'll see how that one goes. Witch Doctor doesn't have a tough game here. I think it's funny that Radiant picked up Witch Doctor when Rutgers was talking about getting it themselves in the lobby a little bit earlier, specifically for one of their players, Diego, who apparently I heard is a good Witch Doctor. Hard to tell. Maybe in the next game we'll get to see it. Ban out of the TA and the Lena, so both mids taken off of the table, as I assume that what we're seeing here is a mid versus mid mind game, as both teams seem to have left that position for last.
Yeah, they could run the Lone Druid mid here for Illinois, but it's very unlikely. It's not the position that you normally see him in. He does very well there because he can just kind of sit back and harass with the bear. The issue is he doesn't get as much out of it as a traditional mid typically does, and he doesn't provide as much in the mid game as a traditional mid typically does in terms of rotating and pressure. So while he doesn't necessarily get outclassed, he doesn't shine once he gets that basic farm. The cost analysis is a little...
I expected a Zeus pick there, and I honestly think that Rutgers was planning on that and then decided against it. Why do you think Razor is a good pick into the Illini lineup, or is it?
Razor does a good job against Juggernaut. The Blade Fury does not purge Static Link.
That makes sense.
And it also... The thing with the Zeus is that as long as the Blade Fury Omni Slash are available, it's very difficult for Zeus to do tremendous amounts of damage in a team fight to a Juggernaut. He's just got too many ways to dodge. So you want to focus in on physical damage into the Juggernaut because he can't dodge that with one of his spells, and the other one is a limited time, right?
Gotcha.
And also, it's not a long cooldown to do physical damage from somebody like a Razor. It's just a right click. The Razor also does pretty well against Lone Druid. You can even use the Static Link in order to chase an invisible Bounty Hunter. If Bounty Hunter starts to Shadow Walk away, you get a Static Link on him during the fade time, and then you can chase him all around, even if you don't have Dust.
All right, so Wind Ranger going to get picked up as the mid for UIUC. What are your thoughts on the draft, Gordon?
Someone's having technical
I like Rutgers' draft a little bit better. Really, it comes down to that Bounty Hunter just feels very out of place to me. I would have much preferred even like a Vengeful Spirit to come out here. I don't think Venge was not banned, and that would provide not only push, it would provide initiation. It's a very strong hero this patch, so you know people can play it. It just, you're going to have to get a lot of track gold out of that Bounty Hunter to make it worth it.
Okay. So you don't mind the cores, you think that there's just been a Venge instead of the Bounty?
Yeah, I think the cores all synergize pretty well onto towers. It might be a little greedy, but I think the Bounty Hunter seems to be the biggest problem with the draft to me.
5 seconds.
Perfect. All right, so we'll wait for the next. I think I heard a disconnect in there somewhere. There's the load. So we're going to flip over to the game, so stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back with the game. And what did I say was going to happen, Gorgon, the second we got in?
I believe you said an immediate opening pause.
So that is exactly what we're going to start with, because it would not be Dota if it did not have that. I guess, guys, maybe a fire drill or something going on in the dorms. That said, we'll touch on a couple of things real quick. A little bit of business. CSL, guys, is not just about Dota. We've got StarCraft and Hearthstone. If you missed the registration, too bad for you, but you can check out your school's schedule and groups on the website cstarleague.com. Broadcast schedules are due to be released to teams toward the end of today, so make sure you check those out. We have a CSGO League that runs every Wednesday and Saturday, as well as Monday, I believe. So lots to see there. And then League of Legends is every Monday and Friday. So you can check out all of these leagues. I know what you're thinking, Toppies. We're Dota people, man. Dota is the master game. This is all we want to watch. Well, I agree with that. However, I think supporting college esports in a general sense is a great idea, and I have been very impressed with watching these other games. They've been really entertaining, and the casters over there, especially in League, have just been absolutely killing it. So check those out every night of the week here on C-Star League. You can watch games from colleges around the country, your peers playing for scholarship money and a trip to DreamHack. What is cooler than that? And obviously, if you miss any of the matches, if you miss any of your favorite teams play, you can check them out on youtube.com/cstarleague and check out all the stuff that's been broadcasted.
That said, it looks like the game is getting underway here, and we've got just a second left to pause to get through some of the teams. On the Radiant side, that's UIUC. We have Sue Blood sneaking around on the Bounty Hunter. Valhalla, who is a stand-in, running around on the Wind Ranger. It's going to be Omi taking the Juggernaut. Brilliant is casting that voodoo he do so well on the Witch Doctor. And Lone Druid is taking his pup for a walk. That's going to be no name. He's just Lone Druid.
And for Rutgers University, we've got Hachiko playing the Ancient Apparition. We're going to have Pumpkin taking it to the I don't know. I don't have any good phrases. I don't want you got that cool stuff you do. Playing Razor, we're gonna have LMAO playing the Gyrocopter, Sugar Glide Love playing the Spirit Breaker. That sounds like a good evening. And Storm Soldot playing the Darkseer as they group up as 5 and roll straight into their opponent's jungle. These guys are hungry and they are hoping to turn up, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen because it smells like the Radiant has the same plan on the opposite side. So a classic tale of misdirected love as these two ships pass in the night.
You know, this is just an example of why Rutgers does so much better than many of the other teams in this league. Look at how coordinated their movements were. They got out into their opponent's jungle faster than their opponents got out, but also in the right order, with the right items in the quickest amount of time they could. Granted, they had to pause to maybe talk about it, but all things said and done, not a lot of teams at this level are able to move with that kind of synergy.
Absolutely. Fine synergy coming out from... actually, I think both teams did pretty well at getting into their position. So we'll see how they do in the next game when there is no pause. Yeah, right. As both teams take their lanes. On the bottom, we are going to have an aggressive try, it looks like, coming out of Rutgers University that will be going head-to-head with, right now, just Omi. So could this be dangerous for Omi if he's caught by surprise by this aggressive try?
It could be. I'm really confused. Okay, the Gyrocopter is taking the mid lane, and the Razor is taking the farming lane, and that's what I've been a bit confused by. Omi already getting caught out a bit, but not taking that damage.
Yeah, they'll harass him. Hachiko's put his points into the Chilling Touch early on, which is going to be difficult, I think, for that Omni to get close enough to try and get his last hit. It's going to take a lot of damage in the process. Force him potentially into a level 2 healing ward, which I think if he does that, he is definitely going to struggle in this early game pretty significantly. So, curious to see what they force him into as Sugar Glide goes over and blocks the stack. Doing a good job early on of making this a very difficult lane. Meanwhile, in the top, Pumpkin's got the link up on the bear, and the Lone Druid already being harassed pretty aggressively as well. But there's a wraparound as Blood comes in from behind. Looks like he wants to go on Pumpkin, walks on by instead. I thought we were going to get a little bit of action, but so far it's just harass coming out of Blood.
That's the college story, right? We've got LMAO having an interesting lane. I don't really see how he's going to contest the Wind Ranger here, especially as Wind Ranger starts to get going. And you can see him just struggling to keep that copter in the air. He's going to try to do a max missile build, the kind that used to be popular, but the missile got nerfed and this really fell off. Valhalla's going to take it. I just don't know how he's going to deal with the power shot, especially now that it goes through creeps without reducing. So it doesn't matter where he is, he can't hide from the damage.
And he's already gone through his big regen. Valhalla is still sitting on 3, so she'll be comfortable until her bottle comes out. We saw Blood come down and secured the haste rune. It looks like he wants to wrap back around. They brought Yellow in, so Witch Doctor also here to make something happen, but Hachiko's shown up as well. Blood's gonna spot it though. Oh, the ward, and Blood's gotta run. Lucky for him, he's got a haste rune. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Storm taking some damage from Omni, but Omni's gotta play back and be very, very careful. The saving grace, I think, for this this Omi Juggernaut is that Storm is pushing the lanes using that Ion Shell, so he's able to at least get a couple of last hits under the tower periodically.
Yes, for those of you who may just be listening while you cook dinner or whatever, Storm Soldat is a Darkseer. He's not saying that he's being harassed by the hero Storm, who is not in the game.
That's a confusing lane.
Yeah, Omi, who sounds like Omni, but he has Omni Slash going up against Storm, who's playing Darkseer. Yeah.
So they are changing up the lanes. Looks like our Spirit Breaker is going to head towards top with a charge on the Lone Druid, who is reasonably low. This could be a good chance for a gank. Pump is going to come up. Static charges the bear smartly. So that's going to make Lone Druid force him off in the opposite direction, leaving him alone. Gets hit. No bash, though. The 17 not going to pan out, and they have to let the Lone Druid escape. If that 17 had procced, though, that would have been a dead Lone Druid.
You know, he could have tipped the odds in his favor a bit. Before he charged out, he could have gone up to this camp here and just right-clicked a couple of times. Every time you miss a bash, it makes the next bash more likely because it's not a true random skill. I've got a long write-up on this on Dota2. It just came out like 2 weeks ago or whatever. But had he done that, though, independently of the plug, had he done that, they likely would have gotten that kill. Or at least more likely.
Storm Soul making as many jukes as he can. Gets the surge and goes back around the outside. Cobb coming in. Wants to get the body block. Does it. Storm in some serious trouble. Cask gonna bounce, but not the way he wants it to. And this will be the first blood.
That's a really nice body block play. The Witch Doctor
barely
didn't panic as the creeps came in, right? He just took it right behind him, and they managed to keep him there despite the pressure from the creeps onto the Witch Doctor.
Chico might be in some trouble here. The charge is coming out to help, but Chico is getting low, and the power shot at max range makes contact. Hachiko goes down. Sugar Glide Love stuck in the trees. He'll be an arborist as Pumpkin gets pushed back.
He does have the charge, though, and they can't see him in there, so this could work out to their favor
It looks
if
very
Pumpkin
sneaky.
can bait in.
And Pumpkin will try to bait. The bait will not be given, and he'll have to back off. Let's take a quick look at the last hit stack and the middle matchup right now. Valhalla is 21-4 against the 18-4 Gyrocopter, but she also has a kill to her name, as she was able to walk over to here, which isn't very far off lane, to be honest, and get a kill. So that was a huge buff for her in this mid position. It's going to make it a lot harder for Gyro to stand up against her.
Yeah, this Gyrocopter build as well. The decision to throw the Gyrocopter into the mid lane and do the Max Missile build, while cheeky and amusing, that Max Missile build is not going to provide the sort of mid-game pressure that a typical build would.
Let's take a look bottom as Cobri goes down. Storm gives his life for the process and ends up canceling the charge. I'm a little curious about his dive, as he probably could have just backed off and let the charge finish the Witch Doctor, but sometimes you got to kill that support.
Yeah, I think for the Darkseer, he wanted to make sure that he got the kill gold as well, right? He didn't want to necessarily hand it off. I am not positive about that trade, to be honest, but, you know, you got to do what you got to do. If you're behind, you take whatever kills you can get.
All right, now we're going to see the spin to win. Remember, spin got buffed a while ago, and we're seeing the benefit of that huge cask. No creeps to take it. Omi on the chase. That's the end of the Spirit Breaker. Surge to safety as Storm runs for the rune spot. We're going to have LMAO come up to the high ground, but he is spotted out, and immediately the boys on the bottom fall back to their tower, happy with the one. TP coming out as Blood's going to join the party. Comes in Viz. Looks like he's going to wrap around, but he'll find nobody, as LMAO is going to use that haste to get back to his lane as fast as possible. Valhalla on the charge right now, and really just going to cancel once he gets the lane.
Gyrocopter's doing a really good job of keeping his CS up at least, but I am still worried about what he'll be able to contribute through the mid game. With this Wind Ranger doing a typical build and being able to harass and push very effectively.
Storm's having a rough go of things here on the bottom now.
This is not an easy lane for him. The Juggernaut is not an ideal opponent.
His CS is still phenomenal, but they brought that Bounty Hunter in. He's definitely being forced back to the base more often, or forced to be played more passive. Now we do see Valhalla again going to get hit by the rocket. They're going to go under the tower. Huge shackle to the trees. Nicely played. And she'll get back to tower, take some damage on the Gyrocopter, and Wind Ranger really couldn't have played that moment better.
Yeah.
Good foresight to see the charge and not freak out.
Yeah, they had just tried that maneuver and the charge had broken off, and I'm pretty sure they get charged through a ward, so maybe she had seen that and had an idea that that was what they were going for. But you're right, the decision or the ability to not panic, especially for a stand-in, it's always nice to know.
It is. And being able to, in order to get the Spirit Breaker to a point where the shackle angle is going to work on the second or third tree, you do have to sort of be mindful of the charging path. So it worked out pretty well. She ran out to here, then curved a little bit so that the charge would curve, and just was able to get the shackle very comfortably. Pumpkin goes ahead and gets the static link up as he chases back. UIUC again. I don't know what his actual name is. This guy is so serious about the school that he named his screen name after the university. I respect that.
Mid-tower won't last
Yeah.
much longer.
He is just UIUC.
He is University of Illinois. I don't know.
He is. The UIUC brochure is just a bunch of pictures of him with different ethnicities. It's like him in blackface.
Oh my.
Him in, you gotta have. It can't just be one guy. You gotta do some photoshopping or whatever. It's important.
Goldie's at 500. XP at 250 as Valhalla continues to get harassed. Up on top, Blood doing some hunting, walks through the runes. Lots of runes up on the dire side. If he turns back, he could be in some serious trouble. They have vision because of the charge. Now he's going to be able to walk out, as obviously that vision dissipates after the charge connects. And was smart not to go back the other way. Meanwhile, I missed it. Omi gets a kill on the Darkseer. I just thought it was another one of those harasses gone wrong, or that he was going to get away from, but the surge was not enough. Omi finishes the job with the ultimate. He hit level, he's happy level 8, burns the ultimate, and gets a kill. So good usage for him for the first time. Meanwhile, we go to the mid where LMAO is under attack. Big rotation from Blood. In they go. Big hookup by the Wind Ranger. She tries to move on Sugar Glider. We're down 1, but the call down puts in some serious damage. Bounty Hunter going to drop as well. 3 from the Dire come in. They want to try to kill this bear, but the bear will have no trouble getting out. So a 1-for-1, but one that definitely favors the Illini over Rutgers University.
Yeah, this is, it's all coming down to this gyrocopter mid decision, right? They put the gyrocopter mid, he's being easily pressured, much more easily than the Razor would have been pressured. They don't have, because of his build, they don't really have the ability to go off and do larger scale team fights that effectively, so they're not able to push towers at all. They've lost now, they being Rutgers, have lost their off-lane tower already. I can't imagine the pressure is going to lighten up. And I will point out that the Bounty Hunter is 0-1, is not level 6 yet, not even close to level 6 yet at 10 minutes, which is not that strange for a support Bounty Hunter, but he's not really panning out so far. He's not contributing very much. Even so, his team is doing very well.
Lone Druid is going to convert. The charge is up on him. Ichigo's going to take the bear, summon to the location. Now we see the static link taking away all of his damage. That's 98, 112 stolen. The right clicks are strong. The stun is stronger. And down goes the Lone Druid. So a necessary pick considering the situation they found themselves in. We're going to see Bounty Hunter chased away as he tried to come to help. And falls back to mid lane. The gold lead is over 3,000 at this point in favor of the Radiant. XP not exactly overwhelming. But Radiant, like you said, has managed to get the pace and would love to continue keeping that push together, as that was sort of their intention all along. Some really great push heroes looking to take it to Rutgers University early on. But Rutgers, to their credit, Gorgon, doesn't seem like they're losing their composure.
Yeah, I was just about to say what they really need is Spirit Breaker to buy some dust and just plan on ganking the Bounty Hunter, but he's already got it. He's ready to go. They picked that up. The Razor looks like he's starting to work toward an axe. So they are aware that they need to do something in order to make sure that their push potential is a little bit greater as well. Since he's a farming Razor, I guess it wouldn't make too much sense to prioritize the mechanism on him. Instead, that's going to go onto the Dark Seer. And once again, giving some push potential.
Down the bottom, LMAO gets caught. Blood wants to go on him, gets hit pretty hard. Rocket's going to go down. Valhalla says, "Ha-ha, you walked into my trap," and he will go down. So it's a return kill, but a costly one for Rutgers, as they took a Bounty Hunter who was really irrelevant in this match, and ended up giving a gyrocopter for it. And I believe, no track yet, because he was only level 5.
Yeah, it was not tracked, but it was 200 extra gold going the way of the Radiant side, and also 850 extra experience.
And keep in mind that, you know, Gyro got a kill on a bounty, but Wind Ranger got the kill on Gyro. So definitely a huge boon again to the Fighting Illini as they take this game early.
Do I say Illinois weird? People are telling me that I say the word Illinois strange. It's starting to...
I say Illinois.
Yeah.
Think cray. That's really what it comes down to.
Anyway, I don't know what's going on here.
All right, so now we look at the top lane where Gank looks like it may be in the offing. Big rotation around by Rutgers. The bait out by UICI. Co-Brilliant, the spin, and death comes to Razor before his team can initiate. UIUC very low. LMAO putting up some work. Witch Doctor hides in the trees, pops his ultimate. Ultimate from the Juggernaut also going to be there, and now they get the double. They get the triple. This is bad. So what we thought we were going to see was Dire ganking and pushing, but instead, University of Illinois shows up and says, "This is our tower. This is our laning phase. Back to base with you."
Yeah, and they have a lot of pushing potential here, right? They've got the healing ward ready to go and capitalize on this. So not only is that going to be a great exchange, it's going to be a tower as well. There's nothing that can be done about it.
Tower is going to get fortified, but just for the sake of slowing them down a little bit, we've got the ultimate for the focus fire so strong on the tower. And we did see that the healing coming out from, I believe it was the ward and the Witch Doctor, was enough that Valhalla really didn't take any damage from that tower. So they were to sit there, tank it, and burn it down. Now Sugar Glider's got to be careful here, as it looks like Valhalla is going hunting. Meanwhile, Blood's going to go to the high ground. He's got vision on Storm. Storm looks like he wants to go farm, and decides better of going in there. It's just smart because Valhalla was looking to turn the corner on him.
Absolutely. One more tier 1 tower, and then Roshan is probably on the docket here for Illinois.
So let's hope that's. I mean, it sounds like the plan is they continue to grow their lead. They're at about 6,000 gold advantage, and they've jumped up to 2,500 in terms of XP. As the bottom tower is being pushed by LMAO, who I'm going to assume is doing anything but that right now, as he figures out how to get his team back into this match.
Radiant's bottom tower seen better days.
We are. I'm not really sure what the next stage is here for Rutgers with the gyrocopter mid decision. They do have the mechanism ready, so that implies that they want to push, but they don't have enough flak cannon to really clear waves that effectively. So that means the Razor has to collapse as well. Razor, did he sell an item and change his decision? He had something, right? He had something that gone toward Ags, and now he doesn't have it.
Up on top, Valhalla gets a gank that we missed while discussing the items, unfortunately. On the Ancient Apparition, he is going to go down. Meanwhile, in the mid position, so fight goes out. We see a rocket hit Blood. Meanwhile, the entire team pops into Sugar Glider, and Omi gets caught with the double stun, and they're going to abandon as they see everybody else coming in, but that's a big cask. It catches two inside. That'll be a dead. Wow. Darkseer is having a very tough game, gets caught out, hit with the ultimate, but fortunately, I guess it did not bounce to LMAO and is able to get out of a sticky situation. Call Down's going to come in, misses everybody except the creeps, and does nothing but slow down the push, where the rest of the team goes back and tries to heal themselves up, lick their wounds, and maybe come in to defend. LMAO gets caught, though, by the shackle, and now the spin. TP's come in, but too little, too late, and now Pumpkin is here in the danger zone. He has to be careful as he tries to get out of this. Well, let's see. He's coming back in.
Okay, so I figured out what was going on with the items. The courier died while he's carrying the Ogre Club. That Ogre Club is going to Assange, not into an Ags, which I should have known, but like I said, I'm a little off today.
Makes sense. All right, well, let's see what happens here as the 7-1 Rutgers is being what-faced pretty hard by the Illini here, who now have Omi farming stacks comfortably in the jungle with his Sanjiasha finished up. He is beginning to become a very big problem soon, as long as he doesn't die to the creeps here. And, I don't know. It's almost a 10,000 gold lead for the Radiant at 16 minutes into this game. What do you do if you're Rutgers? I mean,
at 16 minutes, the gyrocopter just finished drums, his first real item. The Wind Ranger has already had Ags up for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, that's devastating.
So I guess there's something to be said. Maybe Rutgers' previous division wasn't as hard or as the Illini, but for whatever reason, Illinois seems to be doing a great job here. And I don't know, maybe can you chalk that up to the mid? Can you say the Valhalla, the stand-in, has had such an impact that they're playing outside of their normal skill level? I wouldn't say so. I think Valhalla has been valuable, but hasn't had a huge game impact to get them that far ahead.
You know, I would say that he's been doing well, but honestly, I think it's just laning decisions for RU. If they had just laned it normally, like that Wind Ranger would have gotten out ahead of a gyrocopter or of a Razor. And maybe that's why they decided to make that swap. They didn't want to do a Razor on Wind Ranger lane because the Razor wouldn't get enough. But the gyrocopter is worth so much more with farm than the Razor is, that why would you trade off his farm for the Razors?
All right, big charge here on Blood. Blood's going to go invis, but the vision is there. Out comes Koff, puts up the stun, but uh-oh, too early. Nobody to bounce to. Blood's in some trouble. Call down, and Barrage finishes the job. Now we see the run from Pumpkin, gets the link up on the Bear. Bear's got to back away. Ultimate is put out. Rotates back towards the middle lane. This tower is still standing. The bane of Rutgers in this match so far. It looks like they're going to commit everything they got to take away this tower that has caused them such heartache.
So the bane being the figurative bane and not the hero bane, to go on with our trend of confusing hero names.
Confusing things in general, but they're getting pushed back from the tower. With the ultimate running, with the push potential, they cannot take it, and the tower will continue to stand as a bastion against the hope of Rutgers' return. Pumpkin goes back. They do get some heals out there. The mech is finished up on Storm. And will it be enough? I mean, they literally tried to push a tier 1 after getting a gank and still could not execute a full tower push.
Yeah, so Rutgers have a lot of heroes that go into the late game really effectively. The AA for support goes into the late game tremendously valuable, right? The Darkseer turns other people's physical damage against them, which will be great for the Juggernaut and for the Lone Druid. But despite all of those little late game edges they have, I don't think they actually go late as hard as Illinois does. And one of those reasons is actually this Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger is not well countered out by either the Ancient Apparition or the Darkseer, because a lot of her damage output comes from the Focus Fire, meaning her illusion itself won't do that much damage. And a lot of her survivability comes from the Wind Run, meaning that the Ice Blast is not nearly as devastating for her as it is for heroes that typically just tank damage to survive.
So this tower will fall, the last tier 1 on the map for Rutgers under serious assault. Not much they can do to stop it. Apparition will send in a blast just to sort of make everybody angry. We'll see a TP come in. As Storm thought maybe they could make something go, LMAO came back around, but he does not have a call down. Wall is going to drop. UIUC is going to get caught out, so they do get a good return kill out of the tower, more than I thought that they would. And Valhalla on the run. She's low, has to be careful, but nobody really in range. Can LMAO finish the job? He's going to put a rocket down, but it won't be fast enough to get her before she goes to base. Or gets her at all.
Right, it's not going to reach her, unfortunately, because that would be a nice little pick.
Unfortunately,
they are catching up a little bit, though.
They are. They get a tower out of this. They did lose one, but they picked off the Lone Druid, which I think was important at this stage. They get themselves a tower, and Juggernaut picks up... Oh, wow. So Juggernaut gets an Aegis, comes out, and annihilates the Gyrocopter. So the exchange no longer is great as it was 15 seconds ago.
And bottom tower just being chipped away casually as well. Not really where you want to be if you're Rutgers. You don't want to give up that much for nothing. And so far, this game has been a lot of giving up stuff for nothing for them. They gave up a favorable laning phase for an unfavorable laning phase. The Wind Ranger, honestly, was a really nice draft into Rutgers, knowing that they didn't have a mid hero who could really handle the Wind Ranger.
Oh, the Blink Crush Sugar Glider Love is about to get a whole lot of hurt, but no, he gets away. She misses the power shot instead of sticking with the ultimate, but it doesn't matter. Blood is waiting. And he goes ahead and picks off the Spirit Breaker. So good teamwork there as he just sat there and said, all right, well, this will be easy.
It was a nice little set of teamwork, though.
Right.
Forced the Spirit Breaker out, and everybody's waiting for him on the other end of that
Can you
tunnel.
imagine Spirit Breaker thinking to himself, yes! Ha ha! Oh, sad face. All right, 7,500 gold lead, XP of 75 as well, as the boys from the Alliance continue to take it forward as quickly and aggressively as they can. Rutgers not out of it, though. They put up a good fight on the return, try to get themselves back into this match, and we definitely see them moving around more aggressively as a group in lane to avoid these pickoffs that have been happening. I mean, is that the answer? Pumpkin's in here trying to farm up some more items. Do you just play defensively until your carries can win the late game?
I don't think they're playing defensively until their carries can win the late game, but I think they are playing defensively until their carries can win something. Because right now the Gyrocopter still just has drums. Right? They can't really engage on that. Darkseer did get Guardian Greaves, but probably didn't even need to prioritize Greaves this early on. He probably could have gone into something that gave him a bit more survivability, maybe even a Vanguard moving toward a Crimson Guard. Something like that to really help deal with the Wind Ranger a bit and give them some more survivability for these pushes. Because the Gyrocopter's
top, where we see a big charge now. The charge is canceled, not willing to go too deep into enemy territory. We'll see the shot come out from the AA. Here's the ulti from the Juggernaut. He sees the ultimate running on the Razor, tries to back out. Sugar Glide Love comes in with the ultimate. Witch Doctor putting in some work from the outside. Pumpkin getting very, very low. The turnaround almost was there. Omi is now being charged back again. Pumpkin is low. The spin will be enough, and he'll go down. Dodges the charge because of the spin, takes some damage. He's got the Aegis, though, so everyone on Dire's got a ski-daddle out of town as Omi comes back up. We see the charge to escape. Hachiko! Time to go as he gets picked off with a nice mini-stun from the Bounty and the finish. Down on the bottom, we see Lone Druid doing Lone Druid things. In comes the charge, going to connect. Quick TP from Yellow, wants to make the fight happen, cancels, and Storm, actually doesn't cancel, I'm sorry, saves him, as Storm has to be careful and back away immediately, but doing enough to scare out the Lone Druid.
Lone Druid did get a solo kill on the Gyrocopter there, too.
Oh, did he? That sucks for
And
Gyro.
then he chipped at the tower, and also they managed to get the top tier 2 tower as well. This is good night moon for Rutgers, I think. I don't really see a way back into this game for them. They can struggle through for a little while. I wouldn't call it yet if I were on the team, just in case Illinois really kind of throw their weight around too much and find themselves off balance. But it's really going to take some big mistakes coming out of the Radiant side.
It looks like Pink is saying, let's just go down lane. Everybody group up. Gold lead is at 11,000. XP is as well. The net worth top 2 farmers, both on the Radiant side. And Omi, who chose not to go Battle Fury, doesn't care as he farms his opponent's jungle and takes away their ability to try and farm themselves back into the additional camps. Pumpkin, not to be deterred, says, I'm not passing a camp without killing it, and will do just that. Meanwhile, Blood doing some scout abouts. Going to go ahead and put up a nice frontal position ward. He gets pinged by the opposing team, but will be able to get himself out of what looked like a potential turnaround gank. How did they spot him? Do they have a ward up there?
I mean, just look at the farm differential. You've got a full Scotty on the Juggernaut, and the hero that is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Juggernaut the most in the late game, the Gyrocopter, still hasn't finished his first big item. He's got an entry-level item for core drums,
True.
right? Pumpkin, who is the farming carry, still is only sitting on Sanj and Yasha.
Hala walked through a ward to come up here. Sorry, so they are searching for him right now. Continue what you were saying.
That's basically it. Their core, their farming carry is a full item behind, and their mid, who should have been their farming carry probably, is well over an item behind the equivalent of the other team.
All right, that's a Radiance on the Bear as he gets sent in to harass and open up the mid tower, and he will do just that. Rocket's going to come out because Valhalla is a rocket magnet in this game, but her team says, no, you will not pass. They manage to stop it. In comes the call down. Valhalla runs out of it. Omni spins to avoid. Ancient Apparition ultimate going to come through. Catches one. LMAO in some trouble. Oh no, the focus fire, the burn. UIUC in some trouble. The Juggernaut bouncing all over the place, trying to turn this thing back. Pumpkin taking some serious damage. Omi getting very, very low. He will drop. Pumpkin will too. UIUC ends up going down. It is a triple for the price of one. And the middle tower will be the fifth casualty as Ancient Apparition didn't make it out either now. And RU will struggle. And this is the point where RU, you think, has to consider, do we GG this out? Do we burn our buybacks to stop the push and see if
they don't even have a Gyrocopter buyback?
Yeah.
If they buy back, I don't think they stop the push. That's the really scary thing here. They have to just let this push happen and just give up the racks. And they can continue to try and play it out from there, but it's a pretty tough decision to suffer through that.
Storm decides to harass, and Illinois makes the right choice. They don't get deterred by the juicy bait running around. They focus on the racks, they focus on the tower, they get both, and now they start to back. Nice shot from the end, Ancient Apparition. You're going to see the call down come out from the gyro. TPs aplenty as everyone tries to get out of this one. Witch Doctor may be sacrificed to the opposing team. Looks like he's going to do that. He's going to run around, try to keep their focus on him, and make sure that his Wind Ranger can comfortably escape without any trouble, and it will work magically well.
I think he was actually trying to juke with the creeps gun in this way. He did a pretty good job of it. Doing a bit of a juke there, because the Wind Ranger has a blink dagger. She was going to be fine there.
Nicely done.
I think he was trying to get away, but his own creeps kind of screwed him on the pass through.
Gold lead, by the way, at 17,000 XP at 14. As Rutgers pushes down the middle lane and says, we'd like to take your mid tower to try and pay you back a little bit for coming into our house. But they've only got 3 forward. They're bringing in 4 and 5. And this feels very desperation YOLO-y. Is that an adjective? Because we're going to make it.
Yeah, you know what is a adjective now? You make up a word. I feel like you can use it however you want.
All right, so desperation YOLOing, as I guess it's not really made up, it's just 2 words that theoretically function put together. Rutgers backs off. Looks like they're going to go to the Roche pit instead. They push the lane forward. UIUC has a very important decision to make, as they now will smoke and make that decision to contest. They're going to head towards the Roche pit, but look at this. Rutgers not going into Roche. Instead, they're spreading out around it, keeping an eye on things. They have vision here because of the ward. They're going to break smoke. Now on the run. Pumpkin pops his ultimate. The rest of his team is too far away. This could be bad for Pumpkin. Ancient Apparition ultimate will come in. It hits 3. Nice shot. Blood getting very low, but they will have to fall back and defend, as unfortunately, that Razor's out of position. I mean, you got to know they're going to come and try to contest a Roche at that point when you disappear from lane. And
I think that's why they didn't try to take the Roche. And
right, but then,
Razor,
you can't be standing there.
Ain't looking good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Razor was trying to take the Ancients, and there was nobody out to help him out with that. I think that they expected a Roche check and then maybe a push instead. That's probably what the expectation was. Whether or not that was a good expectation, I think we know very clearly with hindsight, but you can understand why, being so far behind, the temptation is to go get a stack of Ancients before your opponents can steal it.
Right. I'm not great at math, but I think that 20,000 gold equals you're pretty much screwed. Oh, big wall. It does manage to catch just about everybody. Now the chase is on. Look at all of those things chasing him. Oh my, Ancient Apparition will miss. Nice play by the Juggernaut to dodge and try to get a return kill. He will catch the Darkseer. Now we're going to see the run in by the Spirit Breaker. He's in trouble, dropping low, and actually it ends up being a massive play for the Illini, who turn it around, get 3, make it 4, as Rutgers is now on the run, and that is the end of it. Easy win for Illini, 29 minutes in. The push strategy works, and Rutgers University loses this game 25,000 gold in the hole as we go to game 2 to see if Rutgers can prove that they deserve their 7-1 record and try to take it to the Illini in the next round. Guys, stick around. We got at least one more game. We may have 2 tonight, depending on how it goes. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV. I'm joined by my co-caster, Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can find him at the Wonder Cow. And of course, make sure you follow the league at C Star League over on Twitter as well as other social media. We appreciate you guys being here. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll play some music for you as we wait for the in-between. And as always, Toffees out.
about to begin. The moment that we locked eyes. Now everywhere you go, my eyes follow close. And I'm just waiting for the time to be right to tell you how I've loved you for a while. Oh, my heart is going wild. You wear me down like when the sea meets earth. I fade away just like the rocks have worn. Don't you see what you do to me? You keep crashing into me. I keep turning out to be something more than what I was before.
Radiant's ban. Dire's ban. Radiant's ban.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of the Collegiate Star League. The road to DreamHack continues tonight as the Illini face off against Rutgers. With students back on campus, it's time to find out who's a contender and who's a pretender. A big thanks to Twitch TV for sponsoring the CSL and featuring our matches weekly. We're proud to be affiliated with the largest gaming stream provider in the world. Asus is also the presenting sponsor of the CSL this year, guys. Asus makes some of the world's best gaming PCs, laptops, and monitors, and is funding this season's travel to DreamHack and our prize pool for the year. Be sure to follow their social media at Asus_ROG and thank them for sponsoring the CSL. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV, and I am joined by my effervescent co-caster who's had a busy day today but joined us anyway. At the Wonder Cow, Gorgon himself. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well. Did you just call me effervescent?
I did.
I didn't realize how bubbly and vivacious I am.
You put the buh in bubbly, my friend. That was
All
right.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a shout out to Dagon of Dingland who asked for one.
Dagon of Dingland has been asking for a lot of shout outs. So Dagon of Dingland, this one's for you.
I'm confused by that name though. Like Dagon of Dingland. So Dagon, that's the item is named after a fertility god from Mesopotamia. So Dagon of Dingland sounds very much like it belongs in a fertility clinic.
Like we should be saying something more along the lines of, "Hey, big shout out to."
Yes.
Okay,
there you go.
That makes sense. All right, guys. That said, let's jump into. Oh, is that a Zeus first pick that I see? Invoker versus Zeus in the mid lane. Opposite of last time, U of I and Rutgers were all like sneaky with their picks for the mid last time around. This time, they both put their cards on the proverbial table and look like they want to go to throw down. Zeus has been very popular in this patch, Gorgon, from not long ago when he was never really seen
5
in
seconds.
competitive play. What's the big swing that's brought Zeus back into the game?
Yeah, he's not. I don't want to oversell
Radiant's pick.
his level of popularity. He's rising. He's still not by far. He's not a tier 1 hero. He gets picked up like 25% of games over the last week, and that's an increase from the rest of the patch. But you're right. We are seeing him come in. Part of the issue is that he does provide vision globally, and as we know, vision at high levels of play very highly prioritized, since other methods of
10
achieving
seconds to
vision
go.
have been nerfed so drastically over the last couple of patches.
Right.
Anything helps,
5
right?
seconds.
In addition, he's a strong laner. He does have some flexibility. He provides a global presence, which
Reserve
helps for these
time.
global strategies that have been popular with the Spectres and the Nature's Prophets, and where the IOs have been popular at high levels of play when not banned, although that is an extremely highly prioritized ban. So we've been seeing a lot more global strategies in general. Ancient Apparition, another hero that we see a bit of. And Invoker, of course, with the Sunstrike.
So lots of global. Let's see if Rutgers decides to go full global here as they wait for their next pick. We see the Death Prophet and the Witch Doctor banned out, Oracle and Spirit Breaker as well.
Radiant's
Abaddon picked up. Now here's a hero that we've seen us kind of upsurgence in, especially in a position like the offlane, because of his ability to sort of exert his will and build into a very, very strong curse build that just
10
makes it
seconds
almost
to go.
impossible to get away from him. What do you think about that, Abaddon? How counterable is he, and do you think that he'll be a problem here in the offlane?
He's really popular in the Americas, right? He's not that popular outside of the
Reserve time.
Americas,
Sure.
but the Americas seem to love him. The laning strength that comes from that Curse of Avernus that you mentioned, right? It provides a lot in a one-on-one. He is able to do pretty well in a 2-on-1 as an offlaner because of the Aphotic Shield, but against a tri-lane, he doesn't really have a traditional escape before 6. He does not have the ability to pressure at a distance that well, so a tri-lane shuts him down pretty heartily in a lot of cases. It really depends on how your opponents are going to run their lanes to determine whether or not that Abaddon has to be a support or an offlaner.
Okay. Sorry, I'm making sure that everything's running smoothly. It looks pretty good here. Now, Death Prophet has had a pretty big popularity in Surge lately. We see her banned a little more often, maybe not on the pro
Radiant's
scene
banned.
as heavily, but it feels like, especially at the collegiate level, at this sort of 4 to 6K grouping, a lot of people are scared of her. What is it about the change? Is it that third ability that was added that makes her so strong, and does it need to be nerfed?
10 seconds to
So
go.
Death Prophet is pretty highly prioritized. She's got a 30% pick ban, which is it's in the same ballpark as Zeus. So if you think Zeus is getting pretty big,
Reserve time.
Death Prophet's slightly bigger than Zeus right now.
Okay.
She does not really have that much impact on wins, though, is the thing. She doesn't win that much. She has a negative win-loss record. She doesn't provide that much in terms of pro team elo. A lot of teams think she's very strong just because she pushes very hard. If she gets off to a good start, it's very difficult to deal with her, and she's extremely survivable, thanks not only to Spirit Siphon, but also to the addition of Octarine Core was added to the game since the last time she was popular.
10 seconds
And
to go.
they've been perpetually buffing Exorcism for the past 3 or 4 patches.
5
That has
seconds.
actually really significantly ramped up her damage compared to the last time she was popular.
Reserve
All that
time.
said, I think her popularity comes down to almost as much of people aren't used to dealing with her, and therefore they feel like she's really strong, rather than she actually leads to a lot of wins.
Okay, interesting. Now, I do know, and honestly, I didn't even realize this playing her prior to seeing Pimp Uncle talk about it, that her third ability gives vision. So it does not break when you say range out the way that you would have with a Pugna connection or something of that sort.
Right, it's like a static link.
Intriguing.
Right, so it will tell you where the unit is, but you can't auto attack it. I don't think it gives true sight,
Okay,
but it will continue to stay
10
on an
seconds to
invisible
go.
unit, I believe.
interesting. All right, so University of Urbana moves through the ban
5
phase to get rid of that
seconds.
gyrocopter and the Undying. We see the Lone Druid ban the Darkseer banned out this time around, so a little bit
Reserve
of
time.
props handed out by Rutgers in their second ban phase, as a U of L now has to figure out how do you push lanes without the 2 heroes you used so aggressively last time around.
Yeah, this is good adaptation from Rutgers. They see that U of L likes to This is freaking me out. They changed their team name between games, and I only just now realized it. The Dire side, they like to do strong push. So Rutgers, they're going to get some global initiation with the Spectre. They're going to get some counter push, and they're going to try and ban out some of the push potential in Darkseer, Death Prophet, Lone Druid.
I'm going to show a little bit of love for University of Illinois here. The U of I Urbana, they got the banner, but apparently were unwilling to just download it from the website, so they went ahead and got paint out, it would seem, and made their own blue on orange, which I think is pretty entertaining, as I think it probably took a lot more work than just going and downloading the actual eye. So kudos to them for their art. I don't think they'll get an A+ in art class, but they will at least get a little bit of props from the teacher. Beastmaster, when not allowed Lone Druid, go for Beastmaster and affect the same push. So we see Beastmaster come out. Spectre on the opposite side. You did bring up the idea of the global strat. We'll have that Invoker and Spectre sort of comboing to make that happen. This does imply that Rutgers will be looking for a bit of a later game, which they were not afforded last time. The game ended at the 30-minute mark. Rutgers, do they have to go past 30 to make the Spectre work?
They don't have to. The Spectre could build for a more mid-game oriented strategy. Go into a Diffusal Blade and then get some health, maybe a heart, and just kind of skip the Radiance. But it's not very typical. You don't see that often. Invoker goes late extremely hard as well. So between the Spectre and the Invoker, they have the late game kind of cinched up. I think for now, they really want to pad out their mid-game, even if that means giving themselves slightly weaker lanes. U of I don't really have the same level of push that they had before. This seems to be a bit of push and a lot of gank potential. So you just want to make sure that your mid game is padded out as well as you can.
Definitely. That Slark, I think, going to be very difficult to deal with, along with the Zeus combo. His initiation is going to be really strong, even if he falls behind. And anytime that Zeus has an ultimate up, if Slark opens, Zeus can close. So I think that's a little bit scary for Rutgers University as they look into these last pick. Vengeful Spirit picked up. You wanted to see that from last time, and it looks like they're going to play it this time. So in congruence with Invoker, Spectre, and Abaddon, that's a pretty strong pick. The stun, the swap, the Vengeance Aura is really going to go ahead and pad this team's damage output. My fear is that they are going to struggle again to survive the early onslaught from Urbana.
Yeah, well, once again, they can go late. As long as they don't just get devastated through the early game, they'll go into the mid game with a pretty decent stride, and they can catch up then. There isn't a lot of tower pressure that's going to come out of U of I. At least you wouldn't expect it with this draft so far.
Right.
Because of that, you would expect to have more time to catch up. Now, granted, this sort of mid to late game strategy from Rutgers is very dangerous on the Radiant side, because Radiant side strategies that end up going later tend to fail, whereas Radiant side strategies that get off to a good early start tend to be much more successful. The average Radiant Dire time is honestly pretty staggering. We barely have any wins that go later than 40 minutes in Pro Dota and the Radiant side over the last couple of weeks. And you barely have any Dire wins that come in under 30 minutes. So that tells you the distinction.
That does. It's interesting, and it seems like University of Illinois did their study last time around, picked a team that would win very quickly on the Radiant side, and maybe this time around are being a little more careful. That Slark, obviously, with great catch-up potential, scales very well into the late game. If it comes to that, the stat steal is going to be very strong on him. So curious to see what they bolster out their line with, presumably the final support for their team here. What are they looking for? It seems to me like maybe a little more stun. Direct stun would be good for them, but instead they're going to go with the Chet. What do you think of that?
I think if they have a Chen player, that's an absolutely stellar pick. It gives them that tower push that they didn't really have before. It allows them to provide that threat. It gives them the global reinitiation potential of the Hand of God, and it gives them that strong laning presence to help shut down Rutgers in the first place. All of that on top of the fact that Chen is the strongest hero in Dota right now.
And if he's good enough, he comes with 3 stuns, so that'll work out for them. Enchantress going to grab on the opposite side, so we are going to potentially see a battle of the junglers, though that Abaddon could be put in a support role, and Enchantress could be running lane as what would you put her as? Does she run as a 2-1-2 sort of deal, or what do you,
She's
where do
an
you put her?
off-laner.
Okay.
She's an off-laner.
Because of the heal and the range.
Yeah. Well, she just provides so much out of the offlane. She gets those levels fast. She gets the impetus. She has the offlane hard camp that she can go back and farm if she has trouble. She really is very difficult to kill because of the combination of untouchable and the massive heal from nature's attendance. So she's very survivable. She provides a ton out of that lane, and there's really Maybe they'll send the Abaddon off with her for the first couple of levels, but honestly, they probably don't need to.
All right, quick introductions for UIUC, the University of Illinois, out of Urbana-Champaign. We're going to have the Ami playing the Slark as he runs down towards that bottom jungle. We're going to have the Beastmaster, handled by UIUC himself. Subla going to be doing the Chen, and then finally bringing up the rear, we're going to have Code Brilliant on the Disruptor, and last but not least, the man with the Arcana, Kana Dota.
All right, an LMAO for Rutgers University is going to be haunting on the Spectre. We've got Sugar Glider Love playing the Vengeful Spirit. Blue Ball Hachiko will be taking Abaddon, and Pumpkin is going to be playing that Invoker with Storm Soul Dot taking the Enchantress.
It looks like, again, both teams will unify and go to Rune, looking for a battle of some sort, and will not get it as UIUC goes bottom Rune and Rutgers goes top. This is, I think, opposite. No, this is exactly the same as it went. Dire got bottom last time, Radiant got top, so the teams both switched it up. Both teams get a rune, and both teams will head to lane, so we can finally see how the laning phase will break out. The last hit tonight chart is up for you on the screen. My name is Toffees. I'm joined by Gorgon, and this is Collegiate Dota. Settle in, guys. It's going to be a good game.
It looked like Abaddon was thinking about doing that shared offlane that I had mentioned, but thought better of it. No, he came back to drop the ward. He will be going out to help pad the offlane for a couple of levels.
How's that sound for a hype introduction? This is Collegiate. I don't know. I'm working on it. I want to bring something cool to DreamHack, so we'll be testing some catchphrases out. You let us know what's good. Ami going to head to top. I thought he was going to make a move on Storm, but is worried about someone in the offing and decides not to go for the pounce early on, as he has not skilled up, so wasn't willing to spend it to get a little extra damage. Meanwhile, Ko is going to immediately farm himself a lane to try to get equilibrium in his favor. Omi off to a decent start here. Mid matchup should be pretty good. The Zeus versus Pumpkin. Who wins this lane?
Well, let me take a look at the way it's going to be shaking out. I think the Zeus is going to come out ahead for the first couple levels, but depending on how Invoker's skills, he should be able to harass out the Zeus at a certain stage, especially once he gets that Alacrity up, if he does go for that build.
Okay, it does look like he's in Quas Exhort right now. Zeus with the bottle already on standby to refill at 2 minutes. The really tough part, I think, against midding against the Zeus right now is the fact that he's getting bottle within the first creep wave, and it makes it tough to really fend off the static field explosions that cause so much trouble in that early game.
Invoker did pick up the Wex, so he is going for the Alacrity laning build. That's going to help him last hit a lot, especially since, bear in mind, Zeus really relies very heavily on Arc Lightning in order to get a lot of last hits and to harass out. And the extra attack speed that comes from the Alacrity will allow Pumpkin to be a little bit quicker on those denies and also on the last hits, maybe making it more difficult for a Zeus that has a pretty underwhelming auto attack.
Speaking of difficult, some trouble for Storm. Storm wants to kill on Omi. Omi's going to get out of, beautifully ranges him. The chase is on. It's got some creep help. Co-Brilliant pulls her backwards. Storm still runs forward before she realizes she's been pulled back. She could be in some trouble. Nice save from the Abaddon. And now Chen ends up being the first blood. Switches it up and Storm gets a kill. Storm says, all right, I don't have to have Omi. I can take you. And Chen goes down.
Omi also needs to go back. So that honestly
That
probably works out even better, right? Because the amount of time that he's going to spend walking back to the fountain and the gold loss on the...
Meanwhile, mid, Kana dodges a Sunstrike that would have ended his life. Takes a ton of damage as that early build with Alacrity is just so incredibly strong. And we've seen it time and time again. With the Cold Snap, it makes laning very, very difficult for a squishy hero like Zeus, who is now out of bottle charges and going to be desperate for rune control here.
Yeah, the lack of bottle charge, well, really just controlling his own health pool with the bottle charge and getting the bottle so early and foregoing having other consumables has really hurt Kana here.
Yeah. Now, he does have the bottom rune available should he want to go get it, though he does not know that. It looks like Blood will scout that out for him, and I think probably call him in to grab the refill right now, or at least ping it and say, hey, do you want this? And he will do that. Meanwhile, on the bottom, LMAO taking some damage as UIUC does a good job of the Beastmaster in the off-lane position. Oh, Zeus was looking at the rune, takes the shots from Pumpkin. Pumpkin gets him down to 31 health, but Pumpkin will back away after getting himself a good Zeus pick-off. Look at the bottom where we've got a Wind Wing Ripper doing his favorite thing in the world, which is just causing Slark heartache as he has to stay back from lane now to get these last hits. Down the bottom, we see Blood on the dive. Here comes the TP from Hachiko trying to make the save on Sugar Glider. Sugar Glider will get away. UIUC too deep, taking a lot of damage. Hachiko wants to make the chase. Sunstrike finishes the job, beautifully angled. LMAO comes in, wants to make the chase on Blood. Blood's got the double damage rune, but he's going to end up losing his creep. A few more gold fed as the Chen runs for safety. Meanwhile, Dota is going to go down, use up his rune charges, comfortably get the arcane rune. Lovely rune for a laning Zeus to get his hands on.
I want to give a nice little shout out here to Pumpkin on that. This is just the little things that make a great Invoker play. As he left lane, you actually saw him switch to that Sunstrike, knowing that while he's out of the lane, there might be an opportunity to use it, and he wanted to have it available. So he invoked it up, knowing that it wouldn't cost him anything, using the invoke cooldown to do it. And we're going to have a bit of an engagement here in the bottom, but it does not appear to be making any...
No kill, but it does send a message. UIUC got killed, came back immediately, forced to use the salve that he just got his hands on, and forced backwards in his lane. Meanwhile, Dota takes a ton of damage from Pumpkin, who is playing this Alacrity build very, very well, but boom! Comes the turnaround and says, all right, you need to back off. Stay out of my house because I've got the mana to fight you right now. So Kana is going to go ahead and burn through this creep wave. He's got the Soul Ring, which I think should work for him if he's careful. It's a bit risky for me against this Invoker, though.
Yeah, well, Invoker's a little too low to be that aggressive right now. He is trying to quass up, but he'll have to use a Forge Spirit to try and do a bit of farming. In fact, that's exactly what he will do. I think Kana's in pretty good shape here, but definitely he doesn't want to go use the Soul Ring if he's below 75 health against this Invoker. The Cold Snap combo would just be enough to kill him at that point.
Gold is at 2,000 in the favor of Rutgers right now. XP at 7. We do have our Chen in the jungle starting to put work in. Last tonight is definitely on the favor of the Radiant, but still a relatively close game. If we go over the net worth, you're going to see that everyone is within striking distance of each other. And speaking of striking distance, Sugar Glider gets popped by UIUC. UIUC turns back around, wants to go on LMAO, but he's got the dagger up, and they will go 1-for-1 support for core. And Rutgers will not be happy. Actually, will be happy with that trade. Sorry.
You know what? I just came up with. Oh, never mind. We're gonna have a bit of an engagement top. Look at this Enchantress. She is ballsy.
She is. She pushed him back on her own. She's got that point in the heel. She's got untouchable level 3, and I was willing to just stick around and put it out there. So, and look how scared Dire is. Legitimately, look at that. One shot from that Impetus drops Disruptor by half.
Yeah, Impetus is a very good spell, especially if you get it out into a strong early lead, out of that off lane. You get it before your opponent's supports really have a chance to get any sort of HP items. I do want to say this Chen is falling pretty far behind and has not contributed anything to the early portion of this game. It's a very good hero. I'm not sure if he got unlucky with his puppy stacks and he didn't get a Wild Wing, and maybe that's why he's been slowed down, but he should be 6 by now. Easily, maybe if not 7, considering how little he's rotated into the lane.
Sugar Glide Love looks like he wants to wait for a potential gank. He will get spotted by that Ripper. As they turn the corner, they should have vision here now. Sugar Glider now sees it, makes his come out, runs into everybody. Omni ultimate's going to be played by LMAO, and the turnaround is there. Zeus pops his ultimate. Venge goes down very, very quickly. The pings are on Enchantress because they want to fight it, but Slark will ultimately go down. Turns back on Chen. Chen in some serious trouble. That Impetus and LMAO are just too strong. And LMAO backs off and body blocks everyone on his team as all they want is blood. Blood jukes through the trees, eats one, ends up going down. Kana comes in, puts up a shot to try and get a counter kill. Not going to happen as LMAO gets back out, and Storm very, very strong right now as he walks away. Now let's follow into the trees where we see the Spectre running for his life. He does not have a TP, but he's got plenty of eating. Throws the dagger, and off he goes.
He should be able to get himself away here. They should have seen that coming too. Maybe posted a patrol man out here. The Disruptor would have been the obvious
Things
choice.
are there. Omni makes the pounce, but misses. Now Storm on the run, taking a lot of damage from Disruptor. The pullback is available. He'll head all the way back into the deep zone. Storm does not have the mana. Does have the mana now. She's the Mango. Uses it for a TP though, knowing there's no stun available, and is able to get out without a problem. So a nice play, waiting to use the Mango and just TPing to safety.
She did do a max untouchable build as well. So the Slark knows there's absolutely no chance of killing her in the amount of time that the TP takes.
Sugar Glider misses the deny. That's embarrassing.
The max untouchable will also help her move in for an early Roshan if they want to. Now granted, the way that Roche was reworked, the untouchable does less to him than it did before. But still, with a couple of creeps, max untouchable, and the rest of her team provides a lot of damage for Roshan as well. Vengeful Spirit, got the Abaddon for the heals. It should be easy.
That 130 attack slow is going to be dismal for UIUC. Let's see how it goes. Goldie, by the way, is 2,500 for Rutgers. It's starting to fall back pretty quickly towards the side of Illinois, as is the XP. Storm putting in so much work, dropping Slark down, so he has to continuously go into the jungle to look for regen, and they will push this tower down. Storm takes the second tower of the game, as now Radiant down to 2 versus 2. Now there's the rotation. They want to move on Storm. Comes from the backside. Blood gets an attack here. Ultimate from the Zeus, and they get a much-needed kill on the Enchantress. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, UIUC being attacked by LMAO. Gets the stun off. Goes for the TP. Can they stop him? They cannot. He got out with something in the ballpark of 30 HP. So one more hit. That stun absolutely clutch in making sure he escapes. Good forethought, or good preparation, I should say, by UIUC to use that.
Yeah, he got down to not 30 health. He got down to 3
What?
health. If there was any damage done to the Spectre while she was standing next to him, the dispersion... Oh, she doesn't have any dispersion. Never mind. I was going to say the dispersion would have killed him. If she had a level dispersion there, she probably would have killed him.
Omi's going to get thrown backwards all the way back to base. Or Omi comes in, tries to make the move. Sorry, they send... the TP back, not allowed to engage, but here comes Storm, wants to make a play. Disruptor going to put down his ultimate. Storm taking a lot of damage in there from the creeps. Heals up, and now the chase is on. Wants blood. Blood is slowed. That allows Impetus to do some work. An easy rotation to finish off the Chen was a very tough game so far. Let's look at the numbers right now, and you're going to see that Chen is at a 0-3. Blood having a very, very rough game. His Bounty Hunter didn't hit 6 early, and his Chen is going to hit 6 very late.
Yeah, this is really late for Chen, who is completely in the jungle the whole time. And now here's the real problem with it. The Chen can't take control of the jungle anymore, right? The jungle now has to belong to the Slark. We are seeing some stacks up, but those aren't for Chen.
Right.
I don't really know where his catch-up levels come from.
Curious situation that they find themselves in, as Rutgers looks like they want to come out of this one and prove that maybe the last game was a fluke, that they were off their game, that they were just playing Scrim Dota instead of Dota. And so far, so good for them, as they've managed to maintain control of this match. Game is going to get paused. We get a little bit of lag from the Zeus as he goes out to reset. Let's look in on items as we have this delay. Hand of Midas is up on Pumpkin. We've got the first part of Oblivion Staff #1 available on Enchantress now. And she's going to be brutal. That's going to be devastating.
She's already brutal, is the problem. Like, she's just going to get more brutal as time goes by.
Boy.
Yeah, you're talking. You're going from Pol Pot to Hitler, right? It's neither of them are good to have raging against you.
Oh my, Gorgon with your historical references that are slightly off color, but absolutely lovely. Gold lead at 3 XP at 15. Storm pushing top lane with laughing my ace off. And they will try to... I thought they were going to go for tower, but it looks like Storm is just going to TP down towards the bottom. Starts to pop the scout, stops the push, and immediately UIUC says, I can't fight her. I'm out of here. Mid position.
Pretty nice pushing from top tier, too. That should force a reaction.
It will, and they're going to actually send pretty much everything they got in there. Omi happy to get a little bit of extra farm, though, as he tries to get himself online with nothing but boots and a Quelling Blade to his name so far. He did just buy a Wraith Band, and it looks like he's going to go for a Ring of Aquila at 12 minutes into this match.
Yeah, that's also not a spectacular place to find yourself. This is definitely shoe on the other foot here for UIUC.
The Dire might want to mine the top tower.
Especially compared to last game, this is really... they're getting a taste of their own medicine, is basically what this is.
Storm going to continue pushing forward, and it looks like Rutgers is going to rotate to the mid lane. They want that last tier 1. That is all that's standing between them and map control right now. Kana is going to rotate around. He's got UIUC coming in. Storm decides not to fight it, so she knows that something is up. Out comes the stun, followed by Kana. Easy kill, but they had to burn a lot to get there. Ultimates are going to be down now as they back away. LMAO pops his ultimate, makes the chase, wants UIUC. Zeus will be able to get a mini stun up from the high grounds. UIC goes to TP away. He'll get out, and now it could be a little bit of trouble as LMAO has to back off. Sugar Glider coming in, looking for the swap, but no backup. If she does dive this, she will die. So she figures it out the last second, backs away. Meanwhile, up on the top position, Omi making use of this farm all the way around the long lane and starts to lean on the tower. So some nice plays by Rutgers.
Can't do nothing about dire structure.
Or, I'm sorry, nice plays by UIUC to get themselves back into this.
I just want to point out that Spectre denied the Mud Golem in order to get the stun available for the Chen, or for the Enchantress, excuse me, to stop that TP. It was a brilliant play, but the exact timing was not quite there between the Spectre and the Chen, and they didn't quite coordinate it well enough. That could have gone really well, too. The Zeus split off for no real apparent reason from the Beastmaster, and bear in mind that this is a max Desolate Spectre, so if you're not next to one of your friends, you are really hurting. You're getting a bonus 65 damage when you split like that.
Interesting. Okay, so what do you do as UIUC? Where are you at in this game? It doesn't seem like it's as dire as it was for Rutgers at this stage last time around, but how do you stay relevant in this match?
Well,
first off, you don't lose Kana to a very aggressive pumpkin. Nice play by Kana. Can he do it? He does!
Nice play by the Chen as well.
Yeah. Nice play. Survives it out. Gets an Invoker who is very strong. A lot of gold. Past the Zeus. 2 fights on map as UIUC pops the ultimate on Abaddon. Sugar Glide on the run with the swap. Turns back around. Hachiko will go down. And UIUC mounts the comeback on all sides of the map. Meanwhile, Storm wants some Omi, but Omi with a nice pounce to get himself out of range.
Yeah,
so I guess that's what you do.
Activity all over the place. They definitely want to leverage their magical damage as heavily as they can against his Enchantress. Enchantress has been doing pretty well so far, but at this stage in the game, she's still extremely burstable. This is the point in time in the game where she's going to be easiest to kill because your magic damage has gone up, but her health pool hasn't gone up substantially.
LMAO stunned and dead. UIUC capitalizes on what I like to call the CSL aggression. The idea that you're ahead and you want to start pushing and you underestimate your opponent's ability to make a comeback. That's exactly what we see. Look at this gold swing, 3,000 to 1, as UIUC is no longer out of this game. How was it? That's all it took, 3 individual picks on different parts of the map, which you know, difficult to do at the pro level, I think.
Yeah, well, it's not just 3 individual picks. It's 3 bad engagements, really. Being kind of forced into their face. We're going to see an engagement here. It could be the 4th.
UIUC in some trouble. This is going to be an impetus play. Goes ahead and buys some time with the Yules, but lands inside of the meatball. And that will be a dead Beastmaster. Omi going to keep on farming very bravely, and now he has to be on the run. So off he goes, being chased very aggressively by the Radiant, and they will just turn it into a top lane push instead. Without that Beastmaster, they know that they've got Chen mid. They know that they got a chance to push this tower and would love to force out TPs at the very least. But they're still hunting. Ami's got to be careful here, and he will eat his way out for safety reasons as the top lane shoves up on that tier 2 tower.
Spectre's going to ult to try and grab this Chen.
Sunstrike. Not going to be enough, though. Chen will push back LMAO, who's by himself. This is the play by Ami. He misses the pounce, but he wants to keep the chase going. LMAO goes to the high ground. Going to run into Co-Brilliant. Co-Brilliant puts down the kinetic field. LMAO hit it in the trees. Gets pulled back to the rest of the crew. They're waiting for him. He jukes, runs, gets healed, and gets back to safety with a nice finish off by Hachiko. I don't know how he survived that, but he certainly did. And now it looks like Rutgers might want to try to take the fight in the opposite direction.
Chen not quite able to micro his Centaur Stomp fast enough.
So
Gets it that time.
Kana gets chased by Sugar Glider, and now both teams will disengage after the loss of the Enchantress as she was picked off in the jungle during that exchange. LMAO in some trouble. UIUC wants to keep the fight going. They get up the net. There are so creeps everywhere. Lands the pounce. Now Omi's got to back away, but UIUC coming in still. Aggressive. Sugar Glider in some trouble. Aphotic Shield not going to be enough. Kinetic Field for safety, but he doesn't get into it in time, and he will go down. So a triple now for UIUC as they push down the mid lane. Rutgers went from what looked like an easy push top to an aggressive rotation to save a Spectre that ultimately cost them 3 and gave up a gold advantage for the first time since the 3-minute mark to UIUC.
I think Rutgers got a little overconfident. It did seem like they were on the path to victory, but now they've given up all of the momentum in this game.
Radiant's top tower
it's
in bad shape.
Painful for multiple reasons, part of which is that Spectre plays so much better from ahead than she does from even footing, but also that you're playing up against a lot of magical damage, meaning if you can stay ahead of them, they will fall off before they ever get anything done. But if you give up a couple of these picks and make it an even playing field, the damage output coming from UIUC can be really devastating through the mid game.
So Kana goes ahead and gets the Yules, and pointing out, before the pickoff started, all of the top farmers were on the Radiant side. Now we've got an Invoker as number 1, and then behind 2, 3, 4 are all of the cores from UIUC. So they're getting really the best they can out of this. Chen finally starting to get some farm online for himself, as well as he has that mech up and available. Yasha on the Slark. We're going to have the Disruptor playing that hard position, sitting on bracers and some boots, as well as a little bit of dust, and that's about it for him. Not too surprised by that. Sugar Glider doing the same thing on the opposite side. Yules for Pumpkin, which we saw used pretty effectively early on, and it looks like a casual cloak picked up by Storm.
Yeah, he's going to be going into the Aether lens, I assume.
Gotcha.
With that.
So, what's the odds between the Oblivion first and then the Aether build instead of going in the opposite direction?
I don't know. The casual cloak probably just to deal with the magic damage for now.
Pumpkin puts out the combo. UIUC tries to get the stun up, but not before he's finished by everyone else. Pumpkin, though, dropping low. The Necro Book doing some serious work as they get the return kill, and UIUC pushed into a tower with so many creeps. This is ridiculous how many units just walked out of the jungle. Blood in some trouble getting hit by the Impetus, but everyone else is here. Stuns, claps, slaps, nets, and Storm's got to back away. Sugar Glide also.
They respond with units of their own in force. In the bottom lane, we're going to see a kill on LMAO again. Maybe. There it is.
The aerial explosion from Omi to finish the job. And they get 2 and a tower in exchange for the Beastmaster. So nicely played there. And the push will continue. Worth saying, Deny was obtained by the Enchantress on the top lane, so they don't get the tower gold. But right now, it seems to me that it's more important for UIUC to just control the map and keep the tempo up.
Yeah, control the map, keep the tempo up. They don't go late as hard as RU does, and they did come into this mid game with a slight disadvantage. But now they've managed to not only get that disadvantage out of the way, they've doubled it into their favor, and they're going to take over their opponent's jungle. Radiant jungle, much easier to take over than the Dire jungle. And they're also going to grab themselves a Roshan, which, as you recall, we were talking just 10 minutes ago about how Rutgers University had a huge advantage onto this Roshan.
And they'll roll right into it. Gold lead is... So they were down by 2,500 less than 10 minutes ago. They are now up by over 5,000, as well as experience in the same ballpark. So huge swing for them on the back of Rutgers, just making some positioning mistakes. And I think, honestly, suffering from overconfidence.
Yeah, and they probably just weren't prepared for the amount of damage output that the Zeus and Disruptor can bring once they get some levels. I think that they kind of got used to the piddly pinching maneuver that was coming out of UIUC. So when they walked into a couple of these fights into full-on fists, I don't think that they were honestly looking for that level of aggression.
Now we go to the bottom lane where UIUC looks like they want to take the creep push there. The Chen army as well as Beastmaster's crew going to lead the charge, waiting for that Necro Book 3 to get off of... I'm not going to wait. It's on cooldown for 60, so they'll push without it, but they don't really need it with the amount of units that they have right here. It's one of those games where you wish you'd picked Never Spirit.
Yeah, right. They do have a lot of answers to these units. They've got a Midas on the Invoker. They have the Enchantress who can steal creeps.
Stun up on Glider. Glider gets rocked. The Meatball saves lives, or does it? Ultimate from Zeus to finish the job. Lots of burning damage going out. Hand of God forced to be used to make sure everybody stays leveled out. And this will be the bottom tower as they don't have a choice to fight him much farther. Meanwhile, up on top, Hachiko pops his ultimate from tanking the tower. And we continue to lay into it with the help from the Hellbear as they take the top. It's in a tier 2 for tier 2, but it looks like UIUC wants to go to high ground and punish them for pushing the tier 2. Going to start putting some damage on that tower. Should be able to take it down. Nope, Invoker will come in to defend, as will Storm, and their range will keep them from pushing the high ground, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that Abaddon spent so much time taking the tower. There was a Hellbear to take the tower there, but either way, they end up making a pretty even trade. That works out in favor of UIUC, though. The faster they can move this game, the better. The longer the game goes, the worse.
Gold lead, by the way, at 7,500 for UIUC, as well as the experience. They continue to grow their lead aggressively, while Omi farms his opponent's jungle to try and keep them out of a position to get back into this game. Blood and UIUC going to do the exact same thing, as they are unified and not going to get caught out. They're basically doing what Rutgers was doing to them 10 minutes ago, but doing it as a group so that nobody gets picked off.
Yeah, the grouping up here has been working really well.
I'm going to interrupt you because they caught Hachiko. No one around to help him. Ultimate is up, and they're just going to keep right-clicking him. Here's your heals. We're not worried about it. And now Hachiko will get burned down very quickly. In comes Pumpkin. Hits Tornado, but it's only going to catch Chen. Meatball will connect, but it's not going to be enough. Pumpkin on the run. Ko in some trouble. Gets caught inside of the ultimate. He is hoping to get out of this. He goes down. LMAO very much low. Pumpkin low as well as they try to fall back. Kana doesn't have his ulti. He burned it early on, but he's got the shot, and he finishes the job. So they get a triple. Aegis is going to get popped now on Slark, but that's not going to be enough. Storm on the run in the wrong direction goes down as well. It's a 4 for none, and all that stands to hold the tower is Spectre with a buyback on the Abaddon. So not much they can do to stop this push. And honestly, I don't know what they do to win this game. It's another 8,000 gold advantage for UIUC.
Kana Dota has just been the linchpin of success here for UIUC this game. Not only the Zeus pick in general and how well that counters out the Enchantress, but just his performance. He's 9-1-4 out of a mid lane. While his Chen was underfarmed, his Slark was wildly underfarmed, his offlane Beastmaster had kind of fallen apart. This guy held this team together by sheer will.
UIUC in some trouble. Big swap comes out. Not going to matter as he manages to get away, and Omi's going to be the leader on making the run for safety. Should not have a problem.
He's got the Shadow Dance. He's fine.
UIUC
They're going to
comes back.
re-engage
TP's in. Re-engages on Hachiko. Hachiko does have his ultimate up. So maybe not the greatest engagement. UIUC gets caught out and burned down. Unfortunate here, as they did get the range racks and the tower, so everybody from Dire will fall back and be a little bit of an over-hasty re-engagement, but at the end of the day, still significantly ahead in terms of gold and XP.
Yeah, and they have a melee racks down. The range racks doesn't really matter, right? So it matters, but it doesn't really matter. At this stage in the game, you're happy just to get the melee racks. I would be surprised to see UIUC push that lane again just to get the range racks instead of trying to get another lane. Right.
Well, and middle lane doing work on its own with the catapult. Last tier 2 standing should be the next big target. Item-wise, let's do a quick update. Invoker has the Ag Scepter finished up. We've got Enchantress with the Dragon Lance. In addition to the Oblivion Staff, what else are we looking at here? We've got Vengeful Spirit with the Medallion, and it does look like a Vlad's Offering finished up for Hachiko, and that's for RU. UIUC, who was behind for a long time, keep in mind, is now sitting on a mech and a Medallion, a Sanj Yasha on the Slark. They've got that Necro 3 on UIUC. It's just their farm did a 180 from where it was a couple of minutes, 10-15 minutes ago, and now they're just so far ahead in itemization.
Yeah, but bear in mind, RU does go into the late game better. They had some trouble with their coordination, but if they manage to keep themselves afloat for a little while, maybe get a bit of wave clear, that would be great. Part of the problem is that LMAO got caught out so many times, he still doesn't have his his.
They go for vision. They're moving
up.
on the top. Hachiko caught behind. His ultimate is going to pan out. Now they want to make the chase on Pumpkin. Pumpkin with a nice tornado. Gets just about everybody. Hachiko abandoned by the team. He will go down. Pumpkin runs for the forest, but they've got the vision from the Zeus. In comes the Meatball for some zoning. All it's going to do is add some damage. UIUC says, we got to kill these forest spirits before they kill me. Gets very close. The mech will keep him up just barely, and he will be sent back by the Chen for a little bit of heal. So a good pick.
Really... Go ahead.
I would say a good pick that allows them to push up the bottom. I think that this is a lot of trouble for UIUC, but what were you thinking?
I was just saying that this seems like a game where it really would have been a better call for the Spectre to not go for the Radiance, instead go into an early combat item such as a Diffusal Blade. They got off to a good start, but the fact that LMAO lost so much unreliable gold through those deaths, rather than buying out smaller components and getting an item faster, had they done that, they would still be competitive in these fights.
Yeah, it's one of those things when you see that Zeus, especially if a Zeus has played well, you have to consider going with that early build because you know that his mid game is going to be very, very strong. And that's what they're doing here. Oh, what a kinetic ulti coming from that Disruptor. Forces everyone back. Gets the kill on the Venge. The Chen will go down, though. Omi with the Curious Pounce. UIUC left behind. Force Staff to the high ground, but still loses his life. Big Tornado going to catch one. And Disruptor, despite having a great combo to open, will end up going down. 2 for 3. UIUC on the run. And the Range Rack's in some trouble. Looks like it will go down to the Catapult, but... That was a big necessary play for Rutgers University.
Yeah, that's a big moment too for Rutgers. They do get the Radiance out on the Spectre very late, but they get it. And they're ready to maybe try to push this off. One defense is enough to at least buy them the time to get some confidence, right?
Get confidence, get their lanes back under control, which I think has been their struggle for the last 5 to 6 minutes for me, is the idea that they're playing catch-up. UIUC is keeping the lanes pushed forward. They're choosing where to take the advantage. And right now, Rutgers can take advantage of the deaths. They can get the lanes back in control. They can take over their jungle again. And once you do that, it becomes harder for UIUC to really execute their game plan, which is sort of bringing these armies to bear on pushes. So I think that this Rutgers, definitely not out of it, has the potential, if they play this right, to get back in. What do you want to see here from Rutgers? Do you want to see some smoke rotations? Do you want to see some jungle farming? What do you look for to kind of continue this back in the game idea?
I want to see Black King bars, or I want to see a pipe, because the refresher up now on the Zeus, that some members of Rutgers are going to be almost dead from that alone, right? We're talking 1,200-ish damage, 1,300-ish damage. Yeah. So, yeah, that basically kills out Vengeful. It almost kills Enchantress. It will definitely pop Abaddon's ult, and it will bring Spectre to her knees. Rough.
It's gonna be rough, and now we see the rough open. Pumpkin gonna come in, makes a move on Omi, mistimes the meatball, unfortunately, so Omi will get himself out of trouble. Cobrant stun, locked in place. Sugar Glider's gonna drop down in an exchange, support for support. Both teams need to fight. Zeus goes down before. Actually, no, he got his combo off, but it was for naught. He missed this. He got the refresher up, but missed the second ultimate. And that does allow the guys from Rutgers to keep pushing forward instead of taking too much damage to deal with. Like you said, LMAO and Hachiko got very low, but they were able to stop Zeus from hitting the button the second time.
Yeah, the fact that he didn't have enough mana was really what it came down to. He even used his Soul Ring to try and get enough mana. It didn't get him up there. I think he used his Soul Ring after he used the refresher, so he didn't get to use it twice, and he also doesn't have the health pool to really rely that heavily on the Soul Ring.
Right.
He needs to get mana boots, but he, unfortunately, I mean, it's worked out so far, but the fact that he went for the Boots of Travel has made it impossible for him to actually do that combo reliably.
Execute order 322. Well played, Dragon. All right, gold still at 10,000, but pulling back. They've managed to swing 2,000 back in their way. Gold at XP at 6 as Rutgers now sort of takes the forward step, tries to take the fight to their opponents. UIUC back to farming, as it looks like Beastmaster not happy with his items at the moment. He's got the Boots of Travel and the Necro Nomicon, but not a lot of additional damage output besides the amount of sort of creeps he can bring to bear. Chen looks like a Ag Scepter is next up on his list. He is halfway there. That'll actually be really helpful for them. And Kana Dota, no idea where he's going to go after this one. I assume he'll consider an Ag Scepter, but it's hard to tell.
So the Beastmaster appears to be going into a Shadowblade, and then are we going to see an engagement here? No. Okay. Going into the Shadowblade into the Silver Edge to disable the Dispersion, which is a good strategy considering how squishy everybody from UIUC is. It's not realistic for everybody on their team to get a Blacking Bar. The only alternative to be able to reliably kill LMAO through this portion of the game and later is going to be just to turn them off.
So they will push into the Roche pit. We're going to see Zeus TP to top with a double damage room pop to try and slow the push as they try to turn it back around. A lot of damage coming out from the impetus. Khan's got to run. He gets invisibility and does escape. Hachiko gets his ultimate popped. Ko taking a lot of damage though, as is UIUC. They force back the Radiant. The Aegis is dropped and Chen picks it up, TP's away to safety. So they stop the top push, but they lose the Beastmaster in the process. Invoker with some nice plays and Sunstrikes to make that happen.
Thank God Chen has an Aegis. That's all I can say. Finally, the hero who deserves the immortality the most has gotten it. Look at this Abaddon just running his poor little horse's legs off. He's going to get away.
He is going to get himself out of there. Stalls long enough. Omi now has a Eye of Scotty in addition to a Sanjigasha as he takes that to the lane. Boost the travel Blink Dagger picked up by the Invoker Storm with that Orchid and still the Casual Cloak. Doing a great job of moving forward here, and I wouldn't be surprised if that cloak actually turns into a pipe.
I think that UIUC gave up too much ground here. I really do. They still, obviously, they can still win, but it's going to be really difficult for them to get up the high ground into Dragonlance Enchantress with everybody starting to kind of beef up. The Zeus is double ult. Yeah, it won't be nearly as frightening in 6 minutes as it is now, especially since Abaddon has been allowed to get a Glimmer Cape to deal with it.
Right.
The Vengeful Spirit still gets absolutely wrecked by it, but nobody else does. Even, we were talking about it, 3 minutes and 30 seconds ago? Even the difference between now and then, several hundred health for several of these heroes.
Yeah, definitely. I would not be surprised to see Zeus here. Because the piece of Refresher is going to be sitting on the courier, sitting at base right now, it looks like. But Zeus go for a Veil of Discord because it seems like he's getting caught in these team fights, and it's something that he's not globally playing this hero, right? He's coming in, engaging. Why would you want an Ag Scepter over something like a Veil in this situation?
I think he might be going for Bloodstone next.
Oh, okay, I could see that. Or an Octarine.
Which, it's pretty late. Yeah, it could be Octarine, too.
I would prefer Octarine over a Bloodstone.
I don't think Bloodstone is the right call. It seems pretty late, and his kill count should start to dry up a bit, too. And his death count should also start to increase because he doesn't scale that well into the late game in terms of his HP pool relative to the damage output of his opponents.
And there's a nice pick-off. Spectre is going to go down. UIUC burns that Zeus ultimate to make it happen, so a good pick-off on him down the bottom lane. And UIUC will execute a bit of a split here as they push mid with 4 and go to the bottom with the Beastmaster. So he will send in those creeps and try to march up to the high ground. Now they'll rotate around to the mid position. Omi going to go ahead and try to farm for those Forged Spirits. No buyback on the Spectre right now. UIUC looks to go up to the high ground. Here they come. There's the Chen army. Disruptor puts up some zoning. Out comes the Tornado. EMP blast. Omi goes for the dodge, gets out. Blood taking tons of damage from the Impetus. Forced away, but he's got an Aegis. Ultimate from Kana with the Refresher Orb. Puts in a lot of damage like you said that they would. Storm's got to back away, and that will give up the tower. And potentially this melee racks as everybody's got to heal before they can come back in. More zoning kinetic fields coming out from the Disruptor as Sugar Glider can only watch from a distance.
That was really, really well played here from UIUC, just taking absolutely maximal advantage out of this fight. They do have the Ags up on the Chen, which means that they had a bit of help from their friends. And this fireball from the Ancient Black Dragon is absolutely ridiculous in its zoning potential. A 300 radius, 85 damage per second, 10-second nuke. Crazy.
So Chen did get through that fight without having to utilize the Hand of God, so he's still got that and mech ready for the next engagement as they've now lost 2 sets of racks. Rutgers who was mounting a comeback, I should say, not able to make it happen as UIUC's pushing power is just so strong. If Rutgers tries to leave base, they just rotate at UIUC, and there's just so many armies that can be brought to bear, as we saw on the bottom lane. Catching out the Spectre was devastating for them. In comes Beastmaster. He has the Shadow Blade. Looks like he wants to try to make a move on Pumpkin. Gets up the stun, pulls out everything he's got, putting up the damage. Pumpkin's still not moving. Pumpkin with the Yule Scepter to buy some space. Everyone's here to fight back. UIUC! Me later as he heads back to base.
And that's a freak Sanj. Or, excuse me, the Beastmaster has picked up his Sanj for that. He bought it after he died, though. That was a questionable call. The BKB almost done on the Enchantress as well. That's going to make a huge difference. Once that BKB comes out, Zeus can no longer, at any point in time, blow that Enchantress up. And that's going to, as this game goes later, if it goes later, is going to force the tough decision as to whether you disable Untouchable on the Enchantress and make her killable while the BKB is running, or you disable the Dispersion on the Spectre, whose health pool is only going to go up from here.
Right. All right, so looking at it right now, the gold lead has climbed up to 14,000 in favor of UIUC. XP is at 10 as well, and it looks like Rutgers playing the defensive game, though they do have a great team for holding the high ground. The Manta style on the Spectre, along with the Radiance, gives them so much potential to sort of clear these giant waves that the guys from UIUC are sending, though those giant waves now include Ancients, which we saw in the last fight is definitely causing some trouble for Rutgers in terms of answering those very difficult groups.
Interesting pounce by Ami, not quite able to make it happen. I do think RU needs more AoE though, so now that Enchantress has the BKB, she really should consider a Maelstrom.
Doesn't look like it.
She's not doing it, but I think she should consider it. They're already against 2 lanes of supers. It's unlikely that they're going to end this game without having Megas at some point in time leveraged against them. The Radiance is not going to be enough to deal with that.
Going to go ahead and push out the bottom lane as it looks like they're bringing all of UIUC down here. On the bottom is the Beastmaster as he goes off alone. He's got the Shadow Blade up. It looks like he wants to try what happened last time. Doesn't seem to be it wasn't effective last time. Will it be this time? LMAO caught. UIUC now has to turn and run as everybody responds, but that opens up the top lane for a push from the rest of UIUC, though they're not going to be able to get there in time, as it looks like LMAO and the Abaddon, as well as the Enchantress now, will rotate up there to stop it. The chip did work. They got the tower low, but they will fade back happily into their lanes and sort of just wait for the right opportunity.
Yep, and this is just a game of patience, but you have to be careful if you're UIUC, because if this game does go out long enough, Rutgers will become difficult to handle, right?
Yeah.
And Spectre does have a buyback available at the moment. But if she decides to, she could start to go into a heart, and that will make this decision very, very difficult. Once she gets a heart or some courier dead, so it's not going to happen right now.
UIUC made a very interesting invis rotation, dodged the Invoker, and popped the courier, who was just sort of standing there for vision, basically, as a mobile ward. Ends up going down, and honestly, RU doesn't really need him at this particular moment, as they're just trying to hold the line under an onslaught by UIUC's push. Meanwhile, up on the top lane, Blood's going to lead a split to the top, while the bottom will be led by UIUC's Beastmaster as they continue to push into this base, take out as much as they can. And they've worked their way through most of the ancillary buildings, so that means creeps will start putting damage on the towers next. And that's going to be tough for Rutgers, I think, to kind of hold their line against as this continues.
Now, once again, especially as the moon wells begin to dry up here in the Radiant base, it seems like some AoE damage is really going to be necessary. Maelstroms out on potentially both the Enchantress and the Invoker would go a long way in securing their ability to defend this base.
Stormcree needs to moves back to base, focusing on defense. Probably not her first choice of ways to spend this portion of the game. 41 minutes in, gold lead still favoring UIUC at 15, XP climbing steadily. Let's go to the top lane where UIUC moves on Hachiko. Hachiko gets his ultimate pop, Yules to buy some space. Easy finish for the Zeus, and Sugar Glider will be caught there too. so no such luck as the double goes down. Buyback on the Venge, but no chance of Abaddon joining back into this match. Meanwhile, the mid lane is being pushed up by Omi, bottom lane is being pushed by the Creeps, and RU has a very tall order for them as they are going to have to try to hold this last Rax. Omi taking a lot of damage from Storm. Storm wants to come in kinetic field, puts up some work. Omi starts the connection, starts to steal the stats, wants to make the chase. Meanwhile, the Creeps bringing a lot of work. Invoker going for the fight all by himself. Storm on the juke around, but Omi going to finish it. BKB popped, makes it happen. Sugar Glider now in some trouble. Finished off by Omi, wraps around on Pumpkin. UIUC backs away for just a second, turns back. Yule's up by Pumpkin, but it's not going to be enough. Pumpkin on the run, wants to finish UIUC, but has the ability to do it. Omi, meanwhile, stops the chase on Pumpkin to finish out the melee racks, turns back on Pumpkin. Pumpkin in some trouble. He'll go down. That's 4. Buyback from the Spectre. The last hope needs to save this Rax. Not going to happen, though, as Ami is waiting for him. Makes the jump. Has to be careful, though. Pops his ultimate. Starts to put some damage on LMAO. LMAO is going to go down. That's a 5-man wipe. Plus the buybacks. Nothing available. Invoker says, all right, last-ditch effort. And the rest of his team says, GG.
Yeah, trickle in there instead of buying back together was an interesting call. But there just really wasn't a lot of coming back from this. They didn't have the lane clear. They didn't have the map control. They did a pretty good job at once they fell so far behind. But honestly, giving this game over to UIUC in the first place came out of misplays from Rutgers.
Definitely. Well, guys, that's it for tonight. UIUC with a convincing 2-game win over Rutgers University. Rutgers, the favorite to take this one. UIUC proving that they used the break to have a significant improvement on their team's performance. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV over on the Twitter, and I'm joined by Gorgon the Wonder Cow. Where can these folks find you?
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at the Wonder Cow, and basically wherever Dota Writing is hosted.
Definitely check him out. Check out Twitter's at Collegiate Dota. It's not Collegiate Star League on Twitter, it's Collegiate Dota for updates on upcoming matches. If you miss any games, it's on YouTube. And tune in tomorrow, because I think tomorrow is Wednesday, so we're going to have some CSGO games here on this channel for you. And then, of course, we will also have some Dota2 coming up on Thursday. It is going to be a big week. 10 matchups. We're going to have Penn State versus Stony Brook. And it should be a lot of fun. So make sure you come back, see us again, follow the channel, because we enjoy having you here, and obviously want to keep the growth of Collegiate Dota going forward as we march to DreamHack, where the grand final will be played. I hope you had a good evening. I'll play some music and hang out in Twitch chat for just a few minutes if you got questions or want to chat. My name is Toffees. I'm glad you're here, and as always, Toffees out.